Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick and this is MSFS Flight Plans, a place where it feels like every one of these flights, at least to me it does, is a little vacation from the rigors of daily existence as we fly all over the world exploring and learning about all the best that the sim has to offer us. This is going to be a very quick little lunch break flight out in Aspen, Colorado, a place I'm sure most of you have probably flown over before, but as usual I'm going to add a little color commentary about the area as we go along. And most of all, we have finally found a reason to take the H125 up from Cowansim. I have just been looking for any reason to get in this thing. I've had it since it first came out. I've been flying all over the place with it, but I haven't recorded any flights with it, and now we're going to get a chance to do it. But I have to reveal a little bit of a secret. I was having trouble with all the other helicopters I was trying to take. I wanted to take something with an even bigger field of view, some of the smaller and slower ones. But our altitude, as you can see here, we're almost at 8,000 feet already, and many of those things, when I was getting up to 10,000, even though they're rated for like 13 to 15,000, let me get this started real quick. We're starting to stall out. Once I got up there, some were having low RPM issues. Some of them just wouldn't climb any higher than that, so I'm not sure what's going on with that, unless the rating wasn't right, but this thing can go up to 23,000, so there's no problems with that at all. Okay, generator on and avionics on, and let's take a quick look at the map while that's running up. And I left the topographical map on for this one because we're right smack and dab in the middle of Colorado, by the way, so I'm not going to zoom out. I want to show you these ski slopes. So here's the airport we're taking off from. This is an in-sim airport. And it looks really good as far as being an in-sim add-on. So they've modded this one all up. It looks fantastic, but we're in a helicopter and lots of data in there, so we're going to get a little bit of stuttering while we're around here. But we're just going to come off the end of the runway, check out this slope, this set of slopes right here, this resort, which is the Buttermilk Ski Resort, and then come over here, climb way up to the top of this mountain for the Aspen Highland Ski Resort, and then cruise over this way to check out the biggest of these four, which is the Snowmass, and then we're going to come around this way and hit our only add-on, which is a little dirt strip right out here. We're going to set her down out there, and there's a nice little lodge out there and everything. And of course, that add-on will be linked in the video description along with this exact flight plan if you want to take it like we're taking it. Let me give it full throttle here. And let's go ahead and get our cans on, because this is a helicopter, and helicopters are loud. Alright, so I've got that on, and then I've got a payware add-on, which is the main reason we're flying out here, because as I mentioned in the Oman flight, if you saw it, I said I was going to pick up the add-ons for the cable cars and chairlifts and the marinas by Mamudesign. And if you fly out here without that add-on in, or any other place in the world, most of them that have ski slopes, there'll be nothing out there. No cables, no cars, no nothing. And now we've got it all, which is just great. Okay, you guys ready? Let's go ahead and get on up there. And this is not the live weather, by the way. It's starting to thaw out here, but I figure if we're going to be checking out a ski resort, it better look like a ski resort. So I put the snow squall setting on in AccuSeason, and it looks good. Not only that, but if you fly real close to the ground like we're going to be, if you can see through the snow and see the actual ground, it's a little bit grainy from as close as we're going to be, so this covers all that up. That's grainy, not granny. And we'll just cruise over to the runway. And this helicopter is fast, too. It might be the fastest one in the sim. I think the cruise speed is 135 knots, so it can get moving for sure. Not only is this chairlift pack awesome, but so is the marinas pack. I was concerned that it might be as bad as that last one I got, which didn't seem to do anything. I flew over a couple of different marinas, which I know had no boats before, and all of them are now fully populated with boats. And I have no problem paying for add-ons like that. I have no relation, by the way, to the guy who made these. Although I have talked to him through FlightSim.to's message center a few times, just asking him if these were going to be available again. But I think they were $12 each, maybe a little bit more than that. But to me, totally worth it, because this stuff is all over the world, not just one location. So now anywhere you go, look at those things down there. Look at those lifts. There was nothing down there before. And with the marinas, there's so many spots where the marinas are just blah, if there's any boats in them at all. But I really wish we would have had this particular one when we were out in Cairns, Australia, because they have that 6-mile-long, huge gondola up there out in the rainforest that we could not see. And I bet it's up in there now. Alright, so we're just going to cruise up to the top of this one and hit that mountain over there to the left. You can see some of the slopes over there. Check out what the top of these lifts look like, because it also looks incredible. And while we're doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of this town, which is rather colorful. Before any European Americans were living out here, this was hotly contested Ute Indian territory. In fact, this used to be called Ute City before changing it to Aspen in 1880. And the town really started booming over the next decade after they named it that, when they found silver in these mountains. And a couple years later, they kicked off the Sherman Silver Purchase Act, and they really started pulling stuff out here. And that was an act that had the U.S. government buying twice the amount of silver they were buying before from the miners, but it was a very short-lived victory for this place because they repealed it in 1893. Look at those things down there. See that? How incredible is that? Awesome. That was just completely blank before. But these mines kept running for a few more decades. Unfortunately, the population had dropped to just 700 by 1930. But the happy ending to that story is they had already built up all that infrastructure, so they had all these buildings out here, they had running water, electricity. And in 1946, someone had the brilliant idea to make a ski resort out here, naming it the Aspen Skiing Company. And today, as anyone who's ever been out here in the last several decades knows, this is a place with quite a few high-end resorts, kind of become the archetype of playgrounds for the well-to-do in America. But today they've got 4 big resorts out here, and that first little set of lifts we saw was at one of them. This is going to be a second one, and we'll always see one more on this trip, which is the biggest of them, which is Snowmass. But put together, all these have 41 lifts in total and a whopping 362 trails. Man, I'm really liking this snow setting. The only thing bad about having the snow here is that the scenescape here is beautiful. You can see all the mountains off in the distance, but I feel like this is just a little bit more realistic. Only we could see some skiers flying around on there and the chairlifts moving, but beggars can't be choosers. This is a vast improvement over buck-naked slopes. So they got one that ends right there, and this one goes all the way to the top of the mountain. Way up here, and this isn't the highest one either. We're going to see that one in just a little bit. Oh, okay, we're coming above the squall there. Look at these mountains. Beautiful. This is a very, very like-life trip. I'm liking this a lot. Just beautiful. So the add-on that we have that includes the strip that we're coming into is that Colorado Ranchers Pack, which we had installed for that Star Dune tour back when we were doing Dune Stravaganza. And in addition to this one, there's 19 more little airports out here in the Rockies. So if you like flying out here, I would definitely check that out, and that one is free. And all it really seemed to add out here was a couple little lodges, very well detailed, some very expensive cars out front, and my favorite part is a little sign with a map on it and everything. We're going to try to park right in front of that if I can get this thing down over there. But it's cool. And free, which I really love. So the highest peak that you can get to with a lift out here is going to be at Snowmass, which is the next one that we're going to see. And it's actually going to be to our left. I can't see where the lift is, but we're going to see one that's a little bit lower. But you can see the chairs going up to it. And that'll take you up to around 12,500 feet. But the highest of all in Colorado is over at Breckenridge, which is to our east. And that one goes up to just shy of 13,000 feet. And I learned all about altitude sickness on that slope about 4 years ago, which put me out of commission for the next 24 hours. That was a horrible experience. If you saw our Whistler flight, I mentioned how that story went down. Man, living out here at Jacksonville, the highest elevation I've been to in the last probably 4 decades is 50 feet above sea level. I did not do well at 13,000 feet. And even that one out at Breckenridge is only about 100 feet lower than the highest in the world, which is out in the Kashmir region of Pakistan, which is what we saw on that B-2 Spirit flight, the one Wicked Wing flight. All right, so we're going to come over this way just a little bit. And since we're in the Rockies, you guys know that I couldn't do without a little bit of a geology lesson. And I've mentioned this in some of our other Rockies flights, but in case you haven't seen those yet, like most jagged peaks in the world, this one was also formed by tectonic plate collisions. And these mountains are anywhere between 55 to 80 million years old, depending on which part of them you're taking your sample at. And they do have some pretty big peaks out here. The highest in the lower 48, if memory serves me correctly, is Mount Whitney, which is out in California, in the Sierra Nevadas. But that one only edges out the highest peaks out here by about 100 feet. Okay, so here is where Snowmass is, and you can see these going up to the left. Wherever those terminate is where the highest lift in the area is, which is probably that thing there. But we're going to cruise around the side of this one here because we got to get set up for our approach, because this flight is that quick. And I'm going to have to drop our collective a little bit, or we're going to start overspeeding as I come down. And it looks like we got about a 5-knot crosswind. We're catching some updrafts as we come over these mountains here. Those lifts add so much to this trip. I know it seems like a small thing, but when you look down there and see all these slopes with nothing on them, it just seems kind of weird. As far as the other natural scenery goes, the only gripe I would have is that some of these rivers, including this one up ahead, but not very much, seem to kind of run up on higher elevations than they should be, like that one right there. Other than that, snow or no snow, it all looks pretty good out here. So these are going to be the villages and lodges down here on our right that we'll see out of our window as we're coming down. And then I got to get us lined up using a little NavMap for our final, because it's really hard to spot up here. And this would also be a great time to mention that if you have not joined our Discord server yet, the link for that will also be in the video description. And we've got a lot of group flights coming up. I've got about, I don't know, a dozen or more spots that I need to check out for our Rocking Out series that's going to be coming up next as we explore the largest rocks in the world. I need to triage that whole list and see which ones look good enough for a flight, so we'll be doing that for the next few nights. If you want to join me, hook up with us on Discord, and come have some fun. Alright, so it's going to be over here somewhere, and I just need to look for a strip kind of poking out. And we'll see if we can... Not seeing it yet. I think that's it right there, just to the right of our center pillar there. No, it's not it. I need to come over here even a little bit more. I think it's over the crest of that mountain right there. Maybe we'll hit one more flurry as we're coming... Oh yeah, here they come. Nice. I don't think this thing has an anti-icing system. It's got an anti-ice button for the mirror, but I don't know if it has it for anything else. So hopefully we won't freeze up. Alright, where is the strip? Alright, it's over the crest of this ridge here. And if you didn't have the Power Lines pack, which I had mentioned several videos ago, that is also by Mamu, which you can also pick up in the Sim Market store, which I also highly encourage you to do if you like flying all over the world, because everywhere you go in the world has power lines. Alright, we are in the vicinity, so I just got to look for this thing here. Oh, here it is, it's over here. It's over on this side. Okay, so we'll start slowing down. See it over there to the right. Slowing down and coming down. And that big, huge console and glare shield makes it much tougher to land this thing than some of the other helicopters. But we're going to give it our best shot. And I really want to show you that lodge in the sign. They got a Porsche out there, a Mercedes. Exactly what you'd expect to see out here. Alright, how's our wind doing now? Alright, now it's at about 8 knot crosswind. But at least there aren't any big mountains right next to us, so we probably won't have any quick drafts blowing us around. Alright, trim up a little bit. And the lodge is down on the other end of it, across whatever that line is, across the middle of the runway there. Alright, let's slow way down. Need to get down to about 20 knots coming in here. Alright, there's the lodge right next to our windsock. Can we do it? I have confidence in us. And by the way, I've been trying to fly with the assist off in the helicopters. It is impossible. I just can't imagine. And I've probably got, I don't know, 10 to 15 hours trying to do that. Just taking off and landing. Once you're up, it's not bad. But taking off, even taking off isn't bad. But landing is, it almost feels like they've got the weight of the helicopters wrong. And I'm not saying that's the developer's fault. Maybe the Sims, but they just feel too light. They flop around way too easily. But it is extremely hard to land those things. I need to get in touch with our man, Captain Helisim. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's a very good sim helicopter pilot. I need to see if he's got his assist on or not, because if he doesn't, I am very impressed. Alright, I'm going to try to put this down right in front of that sign over there, because it is very detailed and kind of cool to look at. And we really don't need to look at little NavMap, because there's not much else to see. We already looked at it, so once we put her down, we'll wrap her up. Alright, how close can I get to that thing? Look how detailed that is. I wonder if you could even read the letters on it. No, I'm not going to try to hit the thing. How cool is that lodge, though? That was not there before this add-on. Love that little touch. That's great. Just adding that, that's enough for me. Looks fantastic. Okay, so to shut it down, all we got to do is turn this switch off up here. And down she'll go. And that's it, guys. Let's get an external shot just to wrap it up. No, that's just the back of it. Not too impressive. Okay, so stay tuned. I don't know if we're going to get that El Paso flight in or not, because I'd really like to get out to some of these big rocks around the world. But again, if you want to join us for group flights, it's a lot more fun to fly with people than by myself. So feel free to join us up. All you have to do is get on the Discord server, say hello, and then I've got a little section in there that'll post when I'm going to be flying. You can hop on in with us and have a great time. That's it for this one, guys. Had an absolute blast as always, and I cannot wait to see y'all again in the skies. Later.